Let's get the show on the road. Thank you everybody for joining us. Leveraging market stats to boost your business series. We've been doing this every single month. Believe it or not, this is our sixth year of doing this every single month. So we're going to go over the official stats for all three of the counties in South Florida. But more important is where is the state of the market now and where it's going. And the best part is the different leaders that come into the program. You get to hear different perspectives, and we have an excellent leader, an incredible leader. He's going to be our chairman of the board next year. Alfredo Pujol. Alfredo, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good with that intro. I'm doing better. There's another Pujol on the call. We're not related, but as I look at the screen, so Laz, good to see you. I only got to meet him a few months ago, but welcome everybody. Excited to be a part of this and follow Chris Pierre puts this together. He does a great job in the Miami Association. So hopefully we have some fun today. Chris loves that I make it interactive, and I know I took the mic for a second, so feel free to hit the chat. I love to see your faces. So turn on those cameras, even if you're in pajamas. Just kidding. But I see Fernando. We got another chairman on there. So Chris, I think I took longer on the intro, but we can fly through the stuff. So I just seeing some familiar faces. So just want to say hi to everybody. We're always appreciative to have you all on these calls.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, let's have some fun today. Let's have some fun as we go over all this information. Alfredo, the first question is, maybe there's some new people that are on here. Why is this important? Why is it, important to know the stats? I mean, they could say, I'm just a realtor. I just want to put the sign in front of the house. And, why is this so important?
I think it's probably one of the most important things because if you don't know your markets or you don't know your stats, anyone can tell you what it is and you won't be able to communicate with them. So one of the keys to being not just a realtor but a professional is understanding the markets, understanding what is out there, what's happening, and really focusing on that. So I think sometimes we look at stats as something very boring, and you don't need to make it boring. You can just attend one of these things and one of these awesome calls and just take snippets of it, but understanding your market's going to help you because as a Florida realtor, you can really work anywhere from Key West all the way to the north. So, to the Tallahassee. So I think it's important to understand the markets and where you work, but also know it from a macro, not just a local level.
I love it. Yeah. All right. So let's get into the agenda today. We're going to go over the June 2025 stats and hear from Alfredo. Um, this is one of the questions that we get. We hold these every single month, and we already have it for the rest of the year. Actually, we have the leaders scheduled for each of these months all the way through December. So you could see, and you could go ahead and register for the next one, August 21. Next, is it being recorded? Yes, it's being recorded. Can I get this PowerPoint? Yes, the answers are yes to each. If you could type in your email into the chat, I know Laz already did, but if you could go ahead and put in your email, I will, after this, I'll collect all the emails and I will email you this exact PowerPoint so you can take your time with it and also use it in your marketing if you'd like. All right, so this is the most important website. If you could just write down one thing, sfmarketintel.com. This is where we put all of our stats reports, our zip code reports, our county reports, our market focus videos. Everything goes right here, trying to make it easy, sfmarketintel.com. The team is busy updating this for June 2025 and quarter two. So you should have the information available to you, sfmarketintel.com. All right, Alfredo, let me go through these top indicators of the three counties, and then I'll ask you a question. So, looking through the data for this month, 1 million up, condo sales are up. That's from Miami-Dade County, and then in Broward, if you compare it to pre-pandemic, triple digits up. Also interesting, new listings for existing condos are down in Broward. And then you look at Palm Beach County, the mid-market, both on the single family side and the condo side are up. But Alfredo, going back to Miami, the condo state regulations are continue to be a big topic. We're sitting now in July. They went into effect in January. I know there's a little bit more time now with the requirements, but how do you see the state of the market on the condo side right now?
So that's been the hottest topic has been the condos. I think this stat is important. $1 million and up condos are still selling. So they're still selling. We're also seeing the ultra luxury is still moving very well, and that has a lot to do with where people are coming from. So a lot of people coming from New York, Chicago, those areas. So they're used to the vertical, you know, that type of living. So that $1 million condo in New York, if you just did, price per square footage up there, you get twice probably the property here or really anywhere in the globe. So that's why we still see that price of, that price appreciation in that price range. For single family homes, um, prices are not going to stop anytime soon. So that is not going to stop anytime because of all our business opportunities here in Florida. So we've lowered business tax. We've done a lot of those things. A lot of that's through Miami Realtors. So because we're so pro business down here in Florida, that really you're going to see the prices are going to stay up, if not stay pretty stable.
Great. Yeah, and Alfredo, you talked about like engaging all the members. We got 45 on here. What would be a good poll? I'm thinking a poll to ask them, you have anything in mind?
So, so I think I'd love to hear what are you all seeing? Are you seeing these $1 million property sales, or are you seeing a slowdown? So, are you all seeing the market increasing or slowing down? So, throw a thumbs up, a high five, something in there. Unless Chris got a fancy poll thing on there, but are you all seeing these numbers in your markets? I see some thumbs up.
Okay, there you go.
I saw one. I think I saw one. All right,
So
and then but there is a number on the next one. If you could drop to the next one, Chris, and where it says in Broward, right, new listings for existing condos was down. So Broward has some inventory and different pockets and different condos that are in different range, and some of that is being purchased. So not necessarily a bad thing when the new listings are down in that could mean that some of them are being purchased on there. So it's just something to keep an eye out on those indicators.
I love it. Um,
And
I'm
feel
actually
free if you
type
guys have questions, you can put it in there. Yeah.
yeah, I'm typing in a poll right now. Let's see how this goes. What is having more of an impact on sales?
While you do that, one of the things I know you mentioned was the legislation. So one of the important things is the new condo laws that went into place. They're going to do a lot with the regulation, and that's going to improve a lot of that. So it's still got time to go on there, but the Senate bills, House bill are there. So what is having more impact on sales?
Yeah, so let's see how they answer that. Well, as you guys could go ahead and fill out the poll, let's talk about mortgage rates. Still around 6.78. And Alfred, I love looking at the NAR's news release and Florida Realtors stats news release. And NAR news release, they had a great point in there, and I want to read it to you. It's from their NAR chief economist Lawrence Yun. If average mortgage rates decline to 6%, so let's say a 1% decrease. If they decline to 6%, NAR forecasts 160,000 renters becoming first-time homeowners and elevated sales activity from existing homeowners. What do you think about that if that type of impact, if rates were to drop like that?
Well, I'm not gonna go against Lawrence Yun. That would be great if that happened. If that did happen, though, I would get a little bit nervous. So you might not be expecting me to say that, but if we do a rapid drop from where we're at in the mid to upper sixes to all of a sudden a six, that could essentially cause these home prices to jump up again. So we have to be very careful how the rates or how they move. So I do see the rates coming down, but they're not going to come down. Not a prediction, but I don't see them coming under six anytime this year. If they do, we're in a completely different market, and I think for the most part they're starting to stabilize. So any drop, like let's say right now we're at a 6.7, and it goes down to a 6.5%. You could see that's going to stimulate the market, and those buyers that maybe were off the fence are going to be able to purchase. They're going to do that. Where I think with the rates that we're missing the ball as realtors, and I'll say this, I know it's a recorded line, but I think this is important, is back in the day, which is maybe like 3 years ago, we were doing the buy downs where there were credits or buy downs. You were buying down rates when the rates shot up super high. So I think with interest rates, that's an opportunity, especially when you hear someone that lived in the 80s. I was just I was too young to buy a house back then, but in the 80s, rates were 15, 17%. What I keep hearing, and then the sellers would buy it down. So I don't think rates are going to drastically lower, but I think a seller, especially the realtor watching this, your sellers need to understand they have a lot of equity. So what Chris just showed is all the sellers have equity, so we can't be greedy. The sellers have money, and essentially, if they want to sell, there's an opportunity for them to lower the rate for the buyer, and that puts in that first time buyer, that downsizing buyer. It gets them in the property. So hopefully that answered the question. You guys feel free to put in the chat your opinions too. This is a free market fun call today. As Chris loves them. We never know what's going to happen on these things. So put it in the chat. But what do you all think? Do you see that as an opportunity there for sellers to really do buy downs or go back to that?
Yeah, no, interesting. And we have a great stat coming up. You talked about equity. Miami real estate equity is 2 times the national figure. So keep that in mind. Want to keep moving. So this is from yourrealtor.com earlier in the year, forecasting 20%, 24% growth. We'll see if that happens in the second half. But I wanted to move on to here, Miami's market fundamentals. Alfredo, what makes Miami different from LA, a New York, a Chicago? A lot of different factors. These are some of them. Let's go through it. Total population projected to rise. These are the future home buyers of South Florida, right?
Yep. Yep. And I was born and raised in Florida and Miami. I love my city. So besides the weather, it's either sunny or rainy. We get cold for like 3 days, but I think the secret's out on all how good our city and our really state is. So I don't see the population or anything stopping. I think this is a stat that a lot of people need to see is we continue to grow. And if you look at, areas, we don't have land to build we have to build up in like Miami, but we still have land in Florida. So we could see a lot of population growth in certain pockets.
Definitely. All right. And then this one here is definitely what separates Miami from every other county in the U.S. International migration. Nobody has these numbers, and actually, even look at Broward. Broward is ranked number 5. That's what really makes us unique, right? International.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as we start to see even more, we we have a ton of different markets here. I think everybody hears that with different markets, but one of the cool parts about Florida is we've always had the international market. But now we're starting to have more of the local. And I know we'll go over it. I don't want to mess up the stat. I know we have a stat of that, but we also have the different states that are coming in. But international has not flooded or come into the market. They've been here, but I think there's still more opportunities for them to come in. So that makes us a strong place to buy.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned the domestic. Here are some of the powerhouse companies that have moved to Miami. These are powerhouses: Citadel, Blackstone, Founders Fund, all these incredible companies that are moving here. And then I thought this was a great graphic from our chief economist. If you're not following her, Gay Crowherton, she does a great job on the economic insights. And take a look at how much the average gross income has increased in South Florida. Doesn't get talked about a lot in the media, but there's a lot of wealth migration still moving here. And Alfredo, this is what you're talking about, the different counties. We used to have it by, which states are moving here, but we thought it's better for realtors to know which counties, right? Because you could build referrals with these counties, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the amazing parts about these stats. So we talked in the beginning about knowing your market reports and knowing your stats. And I know everybody's taking time to jump in on this call. And I think one of the things that the association does a great job of is providing these reports. These reports are helpful because if I'm you and I'm on this call, I want to find out what is in Cook County, Illinois, but I assume it's where a majority of the people from those businesses work. I want to find out, what's happening in Kings County, New York, Georgia, right? All those areas. I want to find out what business is there. And that's what I'd be doing. I'd be contacting or reaching out or making sure that I have that information, available. because this is a lot of the data that's going to help you not just in your business but with your clients, knowing who is your clientele, who's coming to purchase here, because it's a different buyer, and that's also going to help on the selling end because you're able to then promote these properties just like we do on the websites, right? The MLS promotes the properties, but you're going to have that opportunity there too.
Yeah, and also I want to give a shout out to Laz, answering questions in the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you. And also, you mentioned about being more engaging. Now we have 51 participants, 52. If you could type in the chat, which states are you seeing purchasing here more? Because the data tells us California, New York, New Jersey, but what are you guys seeing? What states are purchasing in Miami? If you could type it in the chat, we'll see that. All right. And then Alfredo, take a look at these numbers. This is only 10 million and up South Florida home sales in 2024 versus pre-pandemic, up 201%. That's probably the best graphic to tell the story of wealth migration, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that is what you keep seeing is Miami continues to lead the way in Palm Beach. I mean, you're seeing these houses. Um, don't quote me on the numbers, and it was recorded, but it was like $100 million property in the Palm Beach that closed the other day. In the other coast, I mean, just talking about Naples and that area, there's one for like $80 million. So these record sales that you used to see in areas like LA or New York, you're starting to see them here. And I just saw the other day or like 2 days ago, there's also another property that's gonna be built for over 300 million. So I've witnessed these offers coming through, and I've witnessed these things, and the wealth migration is a real thing. And I think, like I said, a lot of years Miami wasn't looked at as a global city, but now it's a global city, and especially as we get transportation, Palm Beach to Miami, you're going to see a lot of migration continue to come in.
Yeah. And I was looking at the chat. Thank you for Laz and also Annabelia. They're mentioning New York. Alfredo, I know we've had media requests, since the election in New York that we could be seeing even more movement from New York to Miami. Do you see that with the recent, everything that's happening in New York?
Yeah, I think I was lucky enough to get quoted in Newsweek, so that was a cool opportunity. But one of the things that they asked was, where are people moving from, or when everything changed in New York, are people moving down here? And the phones been have been going off the hook in a sense, and a lot of people from New York want to know what's happening here in Florida, especially because it's pro business. I just keep mentioning that, but if you're a small business owner, this is where you want to be. If you're a business owner, this is what you want to be. So I do believe that that has played an impact, and you're going to continue to see these businesses come down here.
Yeah, I love it. And a great comment from Patricia Concepcion. She says it's interesting to see Palm Beach as a global city. Yes, Palm Beach, number two, 5-year growth globally. All right, so let's take a look at our international study. We do this every single year. Want to ask you guys, let's see who could get this correct. Alfredo, we have any prizes for the winners of this contest?
I didn't know Chris were getting prizes. If Teresa's watching, we'll say a 20-minute call with her. She's an amazing CEO. I don't know if I could offer anything else, but we can figure that out. So if you win, we'll send you something. Maybe we'll send you some cafecito cups. I love those things. So we'll figure out for the winner. We'll get you something.
Okay, we'll see. Okay, so the first question is, what is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? If you could type it in the chat, we'll see who gets it first. Number two is how many total countries purchase real estate in South Florida? You could put that into the chat. And number three might be the hardest one. I haven't seen anybody get this. What percentage of Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida? So at the end, or a little bit later, we're gonna see who wins. All right,
All right.
let's go. Let's go over some of these stats. Median sale price. Just to remind you, Miami is number one perennially in the U.S. annual home price appreciation, and I mentioned there about home equity. Here's a look at median sale prices. They continue to rise, Alfredo. This is almost 14 years. Um, but when
Yep.
you look at, I believe statewide median prices decreased this month, and other metros are seeing decreases. But Why is Miami continuing to see the price appreciation when other cities are not?
That's a good question. I love my city, so it's hard. I'm biased. I'm
Yeah,
biased on this, Chris. I know you're from the West Coast, but I love my city. So I have to go back to the businesses. A business comes in and it brings a family, it brings people, it gives jobs. So Miami continues to fuel that, and so I think that's why the prices are there. I think school wise, that's another opportunity where we, as we start to grow and we increase that infrastructure. But I do believe that prices, especially for single family homes, because the inventory has been low in some pockets. But I do think it's because a lot of the families are coming in here for the lifestyle.
I love it. Yeah. And thank you for all the guesses on the trivia. That's great. We're going to see who wins. Thank you for everybody for participating there. Miami condos, 120% increase. If you look over the last 10 years. And then, Alfredo, this is important. Miami-Dade has a special assessment program. Not a lot of people know. You want to tell everybody about that program and why it's so important right now.
Yeah, so this is not one of those questions, but since the chat's been active, so it's good. Can you all give me a thumbs up or put it in the chat? Like, how many of you are aware of these programs that will help your owners with the assessments on the site? How many are you aware of these? So Carlos is, that's one. All right, good. So some of you are not. So this is good. So if you see there, there's a way to apply, but this is a way for any homeowners that if they have any assessments, they can apply for loans. So a lot of this legislation, a lot of these things that have been these items have been put in place have been from the Miami Association. So we do a lot of work with legislative and elected officials, and we even hosted a condo summit in February that I see some faces. I know some of you were at, but these are a result of that. This is a result of it that we have these programs. Um, I this one is for Miami-Dade only, Jessica, as far as I'm aware, but they
Yeah.
are obviously so a few things have happened for Miami-Dade. I can speak on this. Is like a lot of the new laws and new things that are taking place. They've happened because of all the things that we've done in Miami. So a lot of that to do with the issues we had the condos, but that is trickling up to the other areas as we meet with these officials. But this one's specific to Miami. But I do know we played a big part of that. Good question.
Yeah. Yeah, good question. Yeah, we're trying to get it into other counties, but right now it's just Miami. All right, so here's a look at Broward. Down a little small number here in Broward, and then also Palm Beach. That's for median sale prices. Hey, we have historical. This is also a powerful graph that could tell the story. Going back all the way to 1995. So again, you guys will have this when I email you the PowerPoint. That's Miami.
Chris,
Yeah,
if I could just share on the Broward and the Palm Beach, when you see the drop, and I'll share this with everybody today. I happened to be on a call, and someone had mentioned or predicted that there are certain markets that are going to drop 40%. And this is what I told that person. I said, if a market drops back to 40%, we're going to be back in 2007 when I first started real estate 18 years ago. So, because of all these things that we're doing, and when I mean things in regards to the legislation, the lifestyle, all the improvements that we're doing as a city, as a state, there's not going to be a huge drop. This is a normal market where there's changes in price and fluctuations. But remember what Chris showed earlier. We've been on an upward. I mean, that's the one I need to see. Yeah, the trajectory has been so high that essentially the sellers are still sitting in a good spot. As a buyer, as the rates start to drop, the buyer will be in a good spot. So even if a buyer buys now, you all heard my previous boss, one of my favorite brokers, Natasha, say, as I see the funny faces, Natasha, you say you date the rate. I think that's the right quote. You date the rate. So
date
date
the
the
rate, marry
rate,
the house.
buy the house. There you go. So marry that house, and you can always lower it in the future when the rates drop. So hopefully that made sense for every listening to this. But we've been on such an upward trajectory that we should be in pretty good shape, even if there's corrections.
Yes. And then here you go, Broward, going back to 2009. Here's Palm Beach, going back to 2009. And then when you talk about active listings, you're going to see, yes, where they're increasing. We're seeing 30% year over year. but it's still not near the historical average. We still need more inventory, especially 1 million and below, right? Right, Alfredo?
The 1 million below is our fun spot that we're looking for. That inventory is there, Chris. It's there, and it's there especially in the condo market. So that inventory is there, and if I'm listening to this, I would definitely call and make sure that you're talking to your clients because a lot of these condos, as they become more financeable because of all the legislation and everything that's going into place. That's your downsizer. So these people that have houses that are 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 square feet, they don't want to maintain that property. So where do they go? To a condo, right? And you do have a good amount of property there that is under $1 million that seller, which we just showed you has a ton of equity, can move into. So as that stabilizes and that becomes a bit stronger, you're going to have that opportunity there. So hopefully that gives a little clarity on that. But the inventory, historically, it as you show there, the average would be higher.
Yes. And then Alfredo, this is what you were talking about, why Miami is such a value, get more bang for your buck,
Yep.
in comparison to Paris, New York, LA, London. You could buy a lot more here. And that is why the world wants to be here.
Yep. So it's 12 other countries. And I was actually in Monaco for a minute, and everything there is expensive. Like, the coffee was a lot more expensive than Starbucks. So we still got a lot of room to grow in Miami.
Wow, Monaco. I'd love to go there. All right. And then so here's another question we always get. We just showed Miami-Dade prices have increased for 14 consecutive years. Hey, isn't this going to be another 2008? Alfredo, how do you answer that?
I think I'm just gonna read the notes, Chris. Is it another 2008? I think you say it there, right? The loan requirements are a lot stricter. So we've done a good job since then to make sure that that part of the business is taken care of. And as I mentioned, the majority of the people coming in here are staying. So they're coming in and they're buying in Florida. So I can only speak for Miami and Florida. Could anything happen? Of course, but if it was going to happen, it would have happened. Even with the things that happened in the beginning of the year with tariffs or that we certainly found a way, and we've been figuring it out on the business end. So I do believe that we're in solid shape. But that's my optimistic view. If there's a correction, like I said, a correction could be a standard correction, which is anywhere with 10%, but that still has a lot of sellers have equity, and that's the window for the buyers to buy. So it could be a very, very fast correction for these buyers to jump in and for the sellers to sell.
Yeah, no, great job there. Definitely, 100%. All right, so let's take a look at closed sales. This is a trend that we've been seeing throughout the year, year over year down. A lot of reasons for this. And here's Broward and here's Palm Beach. Um, that's why I put in the chat what is impacting sales the most, mortgage rates, the condo regulations, other. But I would think that the rates still close to 7% is a big factor.
Yeah, there was a question in the chat that hi Patty that she put in there on terms of correction. I mean, you see it. If you look at these stats, you're looking at the corrections. They're 7%, 10%, right? So let's just take a $600,000 property, right? That 10% correction, 60 grand. If I have my math right, I know Gay's on, so she could correct me on the stats or my numbers, but my basic math, right? But then it's still $500,000, and the property's been up almost 100% from when people bought it. So seller's going to be okay, buyer's going to be okay. So hopefully that answers that question, Patty. So yes, we can have a correction, but it should get picked up pretty quick.
Yes. And there's a question there about condo hotels. That's a good question. We don't have specific information or stats on condo hotels, but that's a good question.
I don't
Um,
think to answer that question on condo hotels, I I think it was a very specific segment where you'd have in the beach towns before. You're seeing it now with a lot of these different new developments where they're allowing kind of the Airbnb or short term rental product. I think a lot of that's being built out. So you'll probably see that and you'll get an idea of that in the future. But a lot of that's being built out, especially in the high dense areas. And because we have so many sports, we have F1 now. A lot of those, that's something appealing for a lot of investors.
Yeah.
Hopefully that answered that a little bit.
Yeah. And I love this comment from Patricia. Gracias, boss man. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of friendly faces on here. So good seeing all of you.
All right, so here's some tools that could help the members. Are you using Market Watch on Matrix? I know Natasha does, and Alfredo. How can realtors use this to make more deals?
Um, I like this just to get a quick view of what's going on. So if you're not using this, it's just a quick view for your day to see what's going on in the market. And when you said getting deals, let's just use this example. Where are my expires on there? It was only 33, so there's a nice little market here. Everybody's pricing the properties right here. But I would look at expires. I would look at the properties that have come off the market. Those are your opportunities there, right? So not every realtor is going to match with every client, right? So in the market watch, you have an opportunity there to see, okay, these properties are off the market. This one didn't sell. How can I maybe help that homeowner? So that's what I like to use in the market report, and then also to see how many are pending or what's happening. Like you see price decreases or price increase. So this is a good setup for you to do, just to have a morning, just in the morning to take a look at it. Like you see, it's a great tip from Natasha. That's where I learned it from. So it's just an opportunity to just have your day started and know what's going on. And that way you get a call from a buyer or seller, you're able to address the market immediately.
I love it. All right, so let's talk about some more tools that could help members. Uh, I know Matrix is the number one product and service we have. IMAP might be number two. So IMAP, we're going to show you that. Sunsets is a free Miami members tool. We have Miami Realtor zip code reports for every single zip code in South Florida and every single city, and RPR reports. Let me show you IMAP. This is IMAP. Uh, uh, Maybe that's something we should ask everybody. What is your top tools that Miami provides? And is IMAP, Alfredo, is IMAP in your top three?
That's in my top one. So I'm a
Oh,
huge,
top.
yeah, that's my one. That's my go-to. So it's an oldie, but a goodie. So I see people say Matrix. Who has not used IMAP? Maybe that's a better question. So if you have not used IMAP, give me a thumbs up. This is the interactive part. Feel free to jump in. All right, so most people Matrix, so a lot of IMAP users. So IMAP's a great tool because IMAP pulls the data from tax records. So it pulls your tax data, it pulls the sellers as the information. So if it's a trust or anything's happening on there, so it kind of gives you a quick overview of everything. So if you have not used IMAP, it's a great tool. You can also link it directly to RPR. So people like RPR and the other tools, it links to those. So I think it's one of the hidden gems. And as I'm on the senior circuit of real estate, it's something I've used for pretty much all my years.
You're on the senior circuit already?
Real estate, yeah, yeah. That's it. No more YPN. They retired me.
All right, so here's a RPR. This is example of what you guys could get on RPR, which it looks like you guys are using. Sunstats. There's still some realtors that don't know about Sunstats, and and actually, there's a question here from Laz asking where you could get the zip code reports. You could get it on Miami Realtors on sfmarketintel.com, but you could also get it on Sunstats. You could search by zip code and you could search by city on Sunstats. I love Sunstats, and it's free.
Sunset's a great tool. Sunset does all of Florida too. So Sunstats will give you all the stats. So just kind of to give you context of how you can use this tool for those that are watching this, and this will make sense. So someone calls me from, let's say, Orlando, and I don't know the Orlando market, and they say, "Hey, I'm thinking about selling. I want to buy a property in Miami." So you essentially can refer them a realtor in Orlando. But if they have basic information or they give you some information and say, "Look, I want to sell for this price," you can go into SunStats, and this gives you all of Florida, and you can pull up their zip code, and you'll know if it's a real seller or someone that's really interested in that as you ask your questions. So it's not just good for Miami. It's good for all of Florida. You can pull all the numbers to all of Florida. So that's probably one of the best tools that I think Florida Realtors provides.
Yes, that's true. Every single community in Florida.
Mhm.
Amazing. And the data goes back to, I think, to 2008, 2009. So it's awesome.
Yep.
All right, dollar volume. Let's take a look at dollar volume. Year over year, they're down. But this number always, you add up these numbers. You're talking about 1.8 billion in Miami-Dade, 1.2 in Broward. Th- This is the most powerful industry in Florida, right? I mean, this is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these numbers that you see there, that's the impact that we have. And then again, I'm just gonna point it out. This is a negative next step, but if you look at even a drop, one, it's still super high in the numbers. But two, look at the correction numbers. Okay. So we've already done a few different corrections. So, in terms of dollar volume, so we've already corrected in a lot of these pockets. So there is still room to grow.
Yeah, there's a post here. Annabelle is saying that sunsets can't be reached. I hope not. Try this website. It is, I used it earlier yesterday. I used it yesterday, so it is there. Um,
Annabelle, if you go, sorry, just to jump in. So this is the way I find it. I go to miamire.com and I go to stats, and then that gives you the reports that Chris Gay provide. So it has all those reports, and then on there's a link for Sun Stats too. So you can go directly to Florida Realtors, or you can get all three if you want. You get all, you get Chris's awesome stats, Gay's awesome stats, and you get the Sun Stats on there. So you go Miami RE, and I think it's a forward slash, or on top it says stats. You get everything that we're talking about. You're welcome,
awesome.
Annabelle.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about months of supply. So a balanced market, what you want, that's good for buyers and sellers is 6 to 9 months. Less than six is a seller's, more than nine is a buyer's market. So let's take a look. And then here's a calculation. You guys will have more time when you get the PowerPoint. So overall, all properties, 10.5 months. We're in a balanced market for single family. Obviously, condos is now in a buyer's market. And here's a look at Broward. So similar trend lines in the three counties.
So, real quick on single families, remember it's a balanced market. A balanced market does not mean that a single family home is going to sell in 3 weeks or 2 weeks like it did before. So you're seeing, 45 days to 90 days to get some of these properties sold, but it's balanced in terms of once that sells, right? If you do the numbers when he sends the report, it's you're taking the inventory of what's sold and you're dividing it on there. So in regards to the single family homes in 6 months, it's balanced. Still doesn't mean that they're going to sell, immediately, but it means that they'll get picked up. And with condos, one of the stats that I would have to put up, but I know there's a report. But if you look at the condos during the right after the pandemic, we had a ton of condos, and that condo market got absorbed really, really quick. So we were at one point in condos, I think, under 6 months on there, and we were similar to the inventory that we have now. So there is demand for that product. Is just working through some of these this legislation and getting some of these properties up to code. But in regards to that inventory, one of the things I always tell everyone is your sellers sometimes are up here in price and your buyers are down here in price, and that pendulum switches really quick. So if you're a seller, you want to be positioned to catch all the buyers and be ready to go as that pendulum switches. And as a buyer, you want to be making those offers because the seller eventually might meet you where you're at in the numbers because they have that equity. So hopefully I gave a little clarity to these month supplies. But month supply is one of the things you can always see switch really quick. So the right time to sell, the right time to buy is usually now or whenever you have that conversation.
Definitely.
All right. Chris, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. We have
All
bonus
right.
footage. All right, no worries.
All right, so months of supply. So here's a look at when if you break it down by price bucket. And you could see how, in one price you could be in buyer's market and then others balance. So in others you could seller's market and you could do this for, your neighborhood, whatever area, your block that you're trying to to know and to understand. All right, so let's move on to hot markets. These are the markets with the lowest months of supply. We just updated this. This is also on sfmarketintel.com. The markets with the lowest supply with a minimum of 65 pending sale. Any of these, Alfredo? I know you're Mr. 305, but you're also in Broward too. But any of these markets you want to talk about?
I think you could see if you look at supply and you look at the areas. I mean, look what's going on in some of these locations, right? So single family homes, Hialeah or the H, as my friend calls it. I'm from Miami Lakes, so don't get offended, my Hialeah people. But that always seems to be an area that people want to be at. You don't have a lot of associations, so people are moving in there. Miami Gardens, what's happening in Miami Gardens? They signed on for a lot of years. What's happening there? That's a stadium. You got F1. You have new infrastructure being built. I don't want to quote the name of the building right now, but there's Fernando's on here, probably could share it. But there's different projects that are being built in these areas. So the single family homes are going to be a product of that. The
Yeah.
so that those are markets that'll move, and then these other subsets, you're going to see the condos, the markets, and the supply is increasing in some of these other subsets, but just targeting single family homes, I think that's one of the keys is those are areas where if you look at what's being built or done around there, that's why people are moving in.
Yeah, and I thought there's a great comment in the chat just now by Carlos. He says down payment is the main obstacle to selling condos. But with the state regulations, Alfredo, now that you know they're going to have reserves. Now they could be more. They'll be financeable in the future, right? So that's if you're looking long term, that's going to help us, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, Carlos, that we're working towards. And one of the part where we need a lot of your help, a lot of someone else on me there. Carlos, that's where we need everybody's help when we have these events or we have the opportunities to go to Tallahassee or to talk to your legislation like the condo summit. That's where they're hearing us and they're putting in these bills and they're working on these um, to finance them. So yeah, that's our next window when we get that financing.
Okay, great. All right, I'm checking the time because I know we have a hard stop at 3, so let's keep moving
No, I
here.
got a little extra time. I got a little extra time, Chris. So we'll
Oh, really?
see.
Oh,
We'll
okay,
see at the
excellent.
Q&A just for you. So
All right. All right. So here's Broward, the hottest markets in Broward. Sunrise is ranked number one is for single family, 4.1. Miramar on the condo side. Alfredo, any of these here that you wanted to talk about?
I do live in Miramar, so even though I'm 305, as you said, I live on that side of Miramar these days. But in condos, you have some small pockets there of condos, so I think you're seeing that inventory get picked up quite a bit. But that's a play we have to keep an eye on it. But in terms of a hot market, Sunrise, Pembroke Pines, Coconut Creek, Parkland, Coral Springs, what do we know about them? You can put it in the chat, but I think if you look at the schools, those areas, the schools, a lot of areas there where families want to be in. So that's also an important factor that we see is with schools. That's where people want to be close to.
Right. So that's Broward and then Palm Beach, Royal Palm Beach on the single family side. That's the hottest market. And then condos, Palm Beach Gardens. So let's take a look at active inventory. How many active listings at the end of month, June? So like we mentioned at the top, we're seeing 30%. So it continues in June 2025. Miami-Dade, 38%, plus 32 in Broward, plus 19. There's more options for buyers, right? This is um,
If I'm a buyer right now, yeah, if I'm a buyer right now, I'm looking at the areas that I want to live in, the properties that I want to buy in, and I'm making offers. As I mentioned earlier, I'm making an offer, and now that I have these reports, if I'm sitting with a seller, I'm showing them how much their property has increased in value. And if I'm with a buyer, I'm also showing them that, but I'm showing them from a perspective of let's see if we can get credits on the property or buy down the rate. So that way it's easier for them to purchase the property. So I think it's a great opportunity right now to buy. And I think we're gonna have this opportunity for a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, Alfredo, you mentioned about presentations to buyers, and I was thinking about last month we had Simo, the president of YPN, and he was talking about how when he says one of the mistakes realtors make is that they don't make their presentation specific to the buyer. Like if a buyer's heavy into data, then you give them a presentation with a lot of data. But if you could tell the buyer's not into data, then you have to prepare it differently. Is that how you go about it as well?
That's true. You definitely want to cater to your client, your customer, and you want to make sure that you're helping them find what they want. Because a lot of times buyers might say the famous thing is, I want a backyard. If they're coming from an area that they're in a condo, the backyard might be a little patch of grass or a small fence, right? Where if someone's coming from, let's say, Texas, or they have an acre, the backyard might be a little different thing. So what SEMO, I believe, is referring to on the side is really knowing what your client wants and your customer. And I think even with the buyer brokerage agreements and being a part of that, one of the things is that's an opportunity for you to learn more about your client and to help them with that purchase.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, I love that. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so let's recap some of the main points we talked about. Miami condo active listings. As you can see, year over year, they're increasing, but if you compare it to pre-pandemic, they're still down 15.6, so we still have room to go. Rates are steady. Realtor.com says we'll have sales increase and our prices continue to increase. All right, global study. Who do you think? Let me see. I know there was a lot of comments here, and I got to go back into the chat. The first one was, what is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? And the winner is
Man, you're good, Chris. You went back and found that.
Argentina.
All right.
Laz was the first one.
With the
Uh,
best last name, not related last, but just a great name, a great
are
last
you
name.
sure? Are you sure you're not related?
We asked, yeah. I actually just met him. I met him about like 30 days ago on a phone call. So, yeah. So
It is a
congrats,
great
Laz.
last name. It is a
Way,
great
way
last
to
name.
way to represent us. Way to represent us.
Thank you.
Yes, but there was a lot of great guesses, and somebody also followed up with Argentina after Irina. So. Great. Yes. Argentina, Messi, the Messi effect. But Colombia's right there. It's just 4% off. But that's important to remember in your marketing. And then how many total countries purchased in real estate in South Florida is 49. I'm not sure if anybody, Patricia said 71, Stephanie 15, Last at 60. So you guys are close.
Annabelia, you asked the question where you said, "Wow, where are you taking this?" And it should have been an exclamation. Wow, where are you taking that information from? So Miami, when you close the deals, or we get a lot of those reports. We do a lot of those reports from the MLS reporting, but also from the data that we have. So I know Gay's on here too, but Miami does a great job of international and making sure that we have all international data, and that of course plays a part into these reports or what we do here because that'll help you find the clients, especially if you're from those countries. It's an amazing opportunity to talk to family and friends from there.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a timely question too, because for this international survey, we survey our members, and so you will be getting an email from us in August asking, to fill out this survey, asking about your international sales, and that's where we get this data, and that's so you guys help us a lot, and so in August, when we send those emails, if you could fill that out and give us as much information, it only helps everybody when we could produce a report like this.
And then
So
she
that,
asked the question. Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
yeah, and then so the last question, what percentage of Florida real estate sales or global sales are made in South Florida? This is our CEO's favorite slide. In the report, basically half are purchasing in South Florida. And what's interesting is that look at number two, the difference. Orlando, you would think would be higher. They're at 11%, but that's it's really amazing.
Yeah, we have. I mean, if you just start down from just the bottom half of Miami and you go up to the top of Miami, you pretty much can encounter every single country. and every single international buyer you can encounter every food. So I think, even tying that into why people want to live in Florida and why they want to live in Miami, it's because you really do have, I know everybody says that the melting pot, but you can go to every single place. I'm eating tonight at a Serbian food cart from my friend Mate. Shout out to him somewhere here. But like I didn't even know there besides him, other Serbians here. So just shouting out Miami, I think internationally, we have every single culture here, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Love it. All right, so that's the international report. And now, for the first time ever, we are going to have a Miami new construction global sales report. This is the first time we've ever done this. We have collaborated with 5 developers to produce this report, and it's coming out on Monday. And Alfredo, how big of an impact is this going to have? We ha I don't believe anybody has done a report like this.
No, this is probably for those of you on this call. I know it's a few of you, but it definitely is a report you want to keep an eye on. So this is a lot of the new construction sometimes hold that data, and we really only get that data directly from the developers. So this is the first time ever because of Miami's role on a global scale that we have some of the top developers that are building these buildings, and not just the buildings, but the single family homes. They're sharing the data. So as a realtor, that's going to help you, especially to sell that new construction product. You're going to have a lot more data into where they're coming from. Just like Chris showed you, Argentina is the number one country, and one of you put in the chat, how do I get more people from there? It's educating them and telling them, look, this is the people that are buying here. These are the areas that they're buying. This is what they're looking for. So this is a pretty cool report because when you see it, it's coming from some of the top developers in the country and it shows on a global scale, and not just a global scale, but on a connected scale, how Miami Realtors, um, what it does for its members. So I know there's a lot of noise in the industry, but one of the amazing parts, and I know we have past chairman Fernando here, and I can't see who else is on the chat, but we have a lot of past chairmans and a lot of past members and governors here. It's this is just shows Miami in terms of the global outreach. People want to be here. So when someone says, I don't know if that is a place for me, just these reports alone are great conversation starters to show, look, even the top developers, go look at any other state, they don't do this. They're all separate. So I think it's something pretty cool, especially as a realtor. And when we talk about stats, this is a great report for you to get in front of your clients. So I think that was a long answer, but it's another first for Miami and for us as realtors. So it's as TK says, it's great to be us.
Yes, I love it. And that was a great question in the chat saying, okay, Argentina is the number one country. How can I get more buyers from Argentina? And Alfredo, it's referrals. And then I'm thinking we host a Miami Global Real Estate Congress every year. It's in November, and
Yep.
more than 15 countries are coming. Argentina will be there. Wouldn't that be a great spot to build some relationships for these members to attend our Congress, and you want more information, it's miamicongress.com.
Yep. If you've never been to headquarters, it's pretty amazing. We have a lot of countries show up and they come over here and it's an opportunity that one, just like Chris said, to network, but two, to continue to show on a global scale what we're doing here as Miami Realtors, as a realtor.
Yeah, I'm putting it into the chat. Miami
It's a
Congress.
great day too. I think it ends on November 11th. It's my son's birthday. I know I shouted out like 1,000 people, Chris, today, but that's a great day. He was born November 11th, so it ends I think on that day.
Oh no, I love it. Yes, we want more shout outs. Yeah, actually, and this year is going to be November 12th because I believe there's going to be a YPN. We did
Okay.
that last year. We added a day for the YPN. So
Oh, cool.
yeah. All right, tools and resources. Just a recap. We've gone over this. You guys are using SunStats, every single zip code in Florida, and more than you would ever want on SunStats. We have co-branded marketing materials. It's free to put your company logo. There's the website. We have Miami Photify. We have more than 1,000 templates where all you have to do is that you do what these members are doing. They put their headshot, their name, and their company logo. It's free. It's free. And then here's our market reports that will be on sfmarketintel.com. We have our market focus videos, our infographics on sfmarketintel.com. We also have zip code and city reports, every single zip code in South Florida.
Chris, if
Um,
I could chime in on that one,
yeah,
these are great reports. Especially, I see the room. I know there's a lot of experienced realtors, but when I was new, you didn't have all this cool stuff. So Chris, the team has worked on this. So the market stats, the market reports, these are conversation starters. So these are great for Instagram, Facebook to put these out there, put your information on there, like you said, and co-brand it because then you're going to get the phone calls. You're going to have people connecting with you, or it's an opportunity for you also to post this out there and then share with your clients and be like, "Hey, Chris, did you see what I shared regarding your neighborhood or your area?" Right? Homestead's selling a lot. Miami Gardens. It's a conversation starter, and we're in the business of having conversations and helping people. So this is a really really good tool, and especially if you're a newer realtor, or an experienced realtor, it's a great conversation starter.
yeah, great. And thank you, Fernando, for the mention on Fortify. Juliana, she asked, how often is Fortify's content updated with new reports? Good question. And we try to update it as often as we can. But tell and one another thing is if you want some more different templates in there, let us know and we could create those. We're always open to new ideas. RPR, we talked about RPR. We haven't talked about Miami trainers. So if you had a question, on Fortify, you had a question on Sunstats, um, these trainers are putting on classes every single day, and they're really great on email. If you had a question, you send them an email at trainers@miami.com. They could help you out. Okay, we're getting towards the end. Miami-Dade cross-market demand. So this is what states, what counties are looking at Miami-Dade listings out of state. And of course, New York is number one. Loudon County, which is pretty much DC, is number two. But Alfredo, how could you leverage this to make more business?
So I know I alluded to it earlier, and then we had that stat, but this is definitely an opportunity to find out what is happening in those areas. So, when you mentioned Loudon County, DC, I didn't even know that was the county. I just know it as the DMV or yeah.
Mm.
So what's happening in DC, right? We have military. We also have down here SOCOM. So there's opportunities there for those in the military to talk to those. So I would find out what's going on in those areas, right? And just see, and that's an opportunity for you to connect. And a lot of you know people in those locations, but if you don't, it's an opportunity for you to connect with a realtor in that area because they're migrating over here.
Yes. And then you could also do here for Broward, New York, DC again, number two. What's interesting is Palm Beach, heavy New York. I mean, you have, what is that? Four New York counties in the top 10. They love Palm Beach. All right. So we're getting close to the end. So here's Alfredo's information. If you're not following him on Instagram, you should. He does some great stuff on there, A Pujol Real Estate. So please follow him. And then here's my information at chrismymary.com. But Alfredo, thank you so much. Look at that, it's three on the dot. Alfredo, you have any final comments, any takeaways for everybody out here?
Yes, Chris. You promised me we'll be out three on the dot. I'm the one that's going to take the extra time there. No, if you have any questions and we have a few extra minutes, you can put it in the chat and maybe we can answer them or we can send it to you after. But I just want to say thank you to everybody. It's great to have you all here. I see a lot of familiar faces. So a lot of these reports, just so you know, a lot of this comes from Gay Corazon, who's on here. So a big shout out to her and Chris Ampere, making sure that we have all the information. So take a look at the stats. They do amazing job with the reports, and you get also emails with what's going on. So as your chairman for 2026, it's an honor to serve you all here in Miami Association of Realtors. And I can confidently say that we're in a good spot as a Florida realtor and a Miami realtor. And so I'm excited for the future of our city, excited for the future of our state, and I think real estate. Be proud that you're a realtor, and enjoy the ride. It'll be a fun few years in real estate here in Miami. So thank you all. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to email me or put it in the chat or hit us up, and we'll get back to you.
Yes,
Thanks, Chris.
that's awesome. No, thank you, Alfredo. And yes, I won't forget to email the slides, Jose. As long as your email's in the chat, I'm gonna go back. Okay, I got it now. Realtor. Yes, so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna type up all the emails, and I will send you guys the PowerPoint later today with the recording. But thank you all. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you. More than 50 people, stuck on the whole way. So really appreciate it. And thank you, Alfredo. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody. See you next time. Have a great day.